everybody wants to be in Hawaii right now.
Yes.
Great. I think it looks like we are good to go. All right, I'm going to start. Hello, everyone, and welcome to ACTivism Episode 3. It's produced by Gray Talent Group, B-Fly Create Productions, and Respect for Acting Academy. And we are so excited to have here today Raven Drummer, who is an amazing casting director who's going to give you so much wonderful information today. We also have Malkia Stampley joining us a little bit later, and she's going to provide the actor's point of view. And as always, we have our wonderful host, Josie Harris-Backer. So I take it away.
Okay. Well, I am joined here by my sister. I feel like I've known her for like all of my life, but I really don't. I've actually auditioned for you.
I know.
Not very many, but a few times. But you have one of those spirits. You know, I just feel like I've known you forever. But so I do want to introduce Raven Drummer, the Raven Drummer, award-winning casting director and producer. But before I do that, I cannot not take this moment to introduce my agent. Dawn Gray. She made a quick little appearance and got out of Dodge like she does. But she's a wonderful agent who's been in the business for many, many, many years. When I first got to Chicago, I had sort of divorced Hollywood in a sense, and so I wasn't really doing the acting thing, but I had kind of dropped in because a friend of mine had started her own agency. And then I kind of sort of got the acting bug because I quickly booked Empire and Chicago, you know, whatever. And so anyway, not Chicago, whatever.
We know what you mean.
Just a dick show, just, you know, just a show. Anyway, Chicago PD, and I met with a couple of agencies, and I really love what she was about. And she actually, you know, brought this idea to me at a time, Raven, when I was really feeling like, what can I do to just help? You know, you feel so hopeless, right? I think all of us have felt that, like, you know, what can we do? How can we help in these times when it's just so much uncertainty? You know, everything had been sort of, you know, stopped and come to a halt. And I just felt with everything that was going on in the world, like, how could I help? How could I lend my voice? And so when she brought this idea to me, it was like, you know, it was just like perfect. It was just aligned with me and all that was going on. And so I just want to give a shout out to my agent, Dawn Gray. She's awesome. She's been in the business for a long time, and it's a great agency. And has a great agency, and all of the agents and assistants there that make the magic. But it's really telling, right, Raven, of the type of agent that she is.
Absolutely.
That she would be concerned about her African American, brown and Black actors, and so it really, really spoke volumes of me. So she's never going to get rid of me now. Thank you, Dawn. We love you so much. So Raven, let me properly introduce you, okay? Now you have a million credits, okay? So please stop me wherever you want me to, but I'm gonna just try to highlight, okay?
That's fine.
But it's like, I cringe when I give somebody my resume and then they wanna list the whole thing.
I know, me too, yeah.
But
this is always the hardest part.
So many, and all of you have so many. Robbie and Twinkie, all of you have so many. Okay, so here's, let me talk about this one. Okay, so Raven is an award-winning producer, director, and casting director who has always had a love for actors and great performances. And that is something that I can really stand behind. That was why I wanted you to be one of the ones to really talk and have this conversation with me. She began her career in casting at Tyler Perry Studios in 2007 after graduating from the University of Virginia. She has gone on to work on numerous independent projects with Nickelodeon, Stars, Nike, and YouTube Red. One of the things I wanted to highlight about her was that something I think maybe a lot of people don't know, which, you know, I was like, oh, you know, this is really cool. Her first web series, Good Girls, which she wrote, directed, and produced, went on to win Best Web Series at the Bronze Lens Film Festival and the Black Women Film and TV Festival. In 2017, she had the privilege of co-creating and directing Brooklyn Blue Sky, which became the first acquired web series, that part, for BET Networks after winning the Xfinity Best Web Series Award at the American Black Film Festival. That's a huge accomplishment, sweetheart. I mean,
Thank you.
You were the first. Can we start there really quickly?
Of course we can. Of course. Yeah, you know, I love casting, but I also like to stretch myself creatively. So, you know, producing, creating, directing has been something that I'm steadily trying to get more and more into. And so I remember a couple of years ago, everyone was like, you know, you can't make any money off of a web series, like people make them and like nothing happens with them. And now we've seen how they've evolved. But, you know, honestly, Brooklyn Blue Sky was kind of a beautiful labor of love. It was a friend and I, we were literally like, you know what? Let's create something. We came up with an idea over I think it was right after New Year's. We were like, you know what? Let's just do it. We're going to film it. We're going to fund it ourselves. We filmed it in New York City, did not know what we were going to do with it, and ended up, you know, having this really amazing journey with it. And it's still on BET.com, you know, so it's just been an amazing experience and really, really, really like pushed us creatively and just learned a lot from that experience. But it was great being on a different side of the entertainment.
Yeah, I'm sure you learned so much from that.
Yeah.
And so that was what, in 2017?
Yes.
Have you ventured off? What have you produced other stuff since then?
I have, not as aggressively as I was then, but I have some other projects. I think, you know, we're in this COVID world and it's kind of pushed me to to be more creative.
Right.
It pushed me to finish the projects that I've been working on for years. So I'm in the process of completing things so I can begin the process of filming some other projects as well.
Good for you. Good for you. So I know I want to be a respecter of your time. So I want to talk really, really quickly about your nonprofit or the nonprofit that you're supporting. Is it yours?
No. This one is not particularly mine. Just one that I believe in and support. So.
Okay. Cool. So one of the things that we wanted to do in creating this sort of free platform was, you know, just to give back for the casting directors taking the time out to do this for us, for you guys, was having them share a charity, whether it was of their own or one that they supported. And so this is the only thing that we're asking of you guys, if you would feel inclined to, if you could support this charity that she feels really strongly about. They're called Young Generation Movement. And I really, really like, you know, what they're about. I was really impressed. So I actually want to also give to them as well.
Yeah.
I want to support you on that. You know, Raven, I think you know that I work a lot with children. I work with adults as well, but I work a lot with children. And so my heart is always there in anybody trying to do anything for kids. So I'll just say very, very quickly what they're about. Young Generation Movement's mission is to recruit and build the trust of vulnerable youth in an effort to prevent PTSD, cognitive consequences, peer pressure, and a sense of inadequacy. This is a lot of the same work that I do with my kids. Their vision is to increase graduation rates, decrease criminal activity and substance abuse, create employable and sustainable young adults, and provide a safe environment for their youth.
Yeah.
I love that so much.
Yeah.
It's so necessary. It's really that target audience, Raven, is what had me move to Chicago.
Yeah.
Because I had heard about, just the plight of kids and just the violence that was going on amongst, each other and, that kind of stuff. And it really brought me here. And I thought that I could be used better here. And I'd never done anything as crazy as that before. So I really, really love this charity. So thank you. So guys, please, Young Generation Movement, okay, is her charity of choice. Okay, so let's drop in, Mama. I've been really super, super excited to talk. I love you so much. I listen to all of your Monday, what do they call it?
Activist Mondays, yeah.
Like, now I'm making myself look bad.
No,
but one thing I love, and I know you hear this all the time, Raven, is your beautiful spirit. And your wonderful voice. I can hear you anywhere and know, oh my God, that's Raven.
I always tell people, you either love it or you hate it. I love it now.
I don't know who would hate it. Like, that's a hater.
I'm one of those people where I hear my voice and I'm like, who is that? And so I'm like, it takes me some time to recognize it as well, but yeah.
And so I have to ask you, have you ever considered or have you ever done voiceover work? I have to.
You know what? I feel like this is like, I feel like God's like, you know what? I've been telling you to do this. Why haven't you done it? The craziest thing is when I was a casting assistant, of course I recorded our office voicemail, and an agent called us and they were like, is that your voice of the voicemail? I'm like, yes. And they're like, please let me represent you for voiceover work. So I was getting some sides, but like I never, silly me, I was like thinking casting. I never actually recorded myself. Now I wish that I had, but
girl, it's not too late.
You're right. It's not.
We need as many lanes of additional income as possible. Listen, Raven, one thing with me is, as I coined myself just Josie, because I can only be me and I'm always gonna talk real talk, but we gotta be smart about it. Like, you better get that voiceover work. Your voice is perfect for it. And
Thank you.
If anybody knows, it's you.
Thank you. If there are any voiceover agents, I'm available. Okay. I have a microphone. Just let me know.
Listen,
where I need to go.
Ray, we do voiceovers all day at Great Talent. So
perfect. Yes.
Done. Okay, done.
I'm available. So yes.
Absolutely. I got you, Mama. I got you. All right. So a couple of questions that we wanted to drop you in on. And we thought it would be a really, really great idea to really focus on the Atlanta market with you. Just because we're knowing that Atlanta is one of the first cities that are really opening their doors and moving forward with casting. We know very specifically Tyler Perry is being one of them. My boy is Javon Johnson, who I love very much. And he was sharing, how, they were, all, brought onto his, studio, and they're all sort of, making sure that they're taking tests and being responsible and not allowed to go out once they've all tested positive. So can we talk about that? Well, how do you feel about that, first of all?
I love it personally. I think that it's such a tough time, and it's tough because, actors already, you guys have so many things that you have to work against. And now to be in this climate where, the amount of projects that you may have been considered for has dropped drastically. It's just a really weird, tough time for artists right now.
Yeah.
And trying to stay encouraged, it can be difficult. So I love the fact that, because, you know, at like a Tyler Perry Studios in Atlanta, that they've made the decision to film and to do it very safely. Like, you know, I love the fact that there are some projects, and slowly but surely I'm hearing about more people auditioning. And then the fact that, you know, especially at a place like Tyler Perry Studios, I think they've kind of set a standard for safety, you know, in this time, that other productions can mimic or use some of those principles. So I think, you know, like we have made some, you know, changes, like for instance, with casting, some of the projects that we would have cast, let's say 50 people for, we've reduced those numbers to 20 actors that we may have used within a season. So there have been some adjustments, but it's still a very unique opportunity for artists. And I'm not even saying actors, I mean like crew wise, you know, grips and casting assistants and casting directors, you know, to be able to work during this very difficult time is really a blessing for sure.
That's awesome, sweetheart. That's awesome. And so what, just really, really quickly, what are some of those like extra safety measures that, that you feel like are, you know, obviously you're comfortable with what's going on there, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think, you know, I think in an environment like Tyler Perry Studios is different because, you know, we have a massive studio. So we're able to create a quarantine bubble system where people can go and stay, and then when you're done filming, that's when you leave. But I think just in general, like I've had a couple of friends who are working on their own independent projects, and of course you can't quarantine or, you know, pay for everybody to just be in one space and not leave. But I think implementing things like regular testing. So you know, TPS, Tyler Perry Studios, they're testing like every 4 days. You know, I think doing something like, if you are on a project, knowing how they're testing, knowing that they are testing regularly, knowing that, you know, everything is going to be sprayed down and you have to wear your mask whenever you're not on set. Things like that, I think are really, really going to be important, even for myself, like as I begin to think about projects that I want to film, knowing what my own COVID safety plan would be, because you want your crew and your artists to feel comfortable, and you have to feel safe, you know, in order to do that. So I think things like that are really, really good. I think we're going to see more and more how productions handle filming in the midst of COVID. And to see the steps that they take, whether it be regular testing or some sort of bubble, you know, they mimic that with other sets as well.
So do you think that the industry is sort of waiting to see how Tyler Perry is doing it at this point? I mean, I can see how they would sort of hold off and see how that's sort of working out for him.
Absolutely. I think you're hearing more and more. Like I think I read recently that I think like Grey's Anatomy may have just like started pre-production or just started begin that process. But I think you're going to hear more and more about how people are doing it. I love that, like, you know, there've been a couple of big name people that have created projects. I think there's a film or something called like Love in the Time of COVID or something like that, or a pandemic. I saw something about it. I'm like, wow, that's amazing that like people are creating things. Or you see like, you know, this is not actor related, but like, you know, like Cardi B's making music videos and spending $100,000 on testing to make sure everybody's on the set is
I agree. You know? Even when I was watching the MTV Awards.
Yes, exactly.
Everybody was really being creative. Like, you know, I mean, Lady Gaga, we know she's good for that. But I just thought, you know, just watching all the dancers, all the artists, I just felt like, how cool is that? You know, that people are still trying to be safe and still find a way around it. And it's kind of really cool. I mean, it's also weird.
Yeah.
You know, it's also very weird, but you know, we're just so creative. You know, I just love that we're so creative. I'm always feeling just like, Lord, let's just, not sell out for our health and our well-being.
Yes. Yes.
But I know that, like, I have Chris Rock, who's a really good friend of mine. He's out here shooting Fargo, and they've done the same thing where, they're not allowing, and they're testing. I can't even remember what he told me, but they're testing every other day, I think he said.
Yeah.
Nadia, who's one of my students, she booked the role of his daughter. And they have her, quarantined
Yeah.
for both of them. Everybody.
Yeah.
Fargo had them quarantined for, did he do that too? I think Siobhan said they did that too.
Absolutely.
Right? They were quarantined for a certain amount of time.
Yep.
Before they were.
Yeah, there's a large set testing that they had to do, constant temperature checks and things like that every day.
But also actually quarantined before they even all came together, right?
I believe so. Yes,
Right.
yes, I believe so. So
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, it's gonna be, I think like this next year is gonna be, at least, it's gonna be a really interesting to see how and what people create in this space.
Yeah.
Because I know everybody wants to, they want to use their gift, and I think that slowly but surely productions are steadily figuring out a way to do that safely. Even from like if like craft services is now everything is prepackaged, nothing's out in the open.
Wow.
Like,
Wow.
like things like that they're just like, that's just kind of
Yeah.
what
No.
I think our process in life is going to be for a second.
Yeah. And that's okay. And
Yeah.
that's okay. We need to be careful. We need, especially us. We're
Yeah.
most vulnerable right now. So, I'm not mad at that. I feel like there is a way around it. I mean, it just has to be thought out.
Yes.
And you've got to be responsible and that kind of stuff. So, and somebody like Tyler Perry, he has the space, he has the studio. So I'm really, I'm so happy for those actors. Like,
Yeah.
I'm just so happy for them. I just
Yeah.
think it's wonderful. Like you said, we already have, such limitations and so little opportunities in the big scheme of it. And so to take away, I just,
Yeah.
I know I feel it. I feel it, luckily I'm an acting coach, and so I've been doing well. But if I was just an actress, I just,
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of actors, they're having to, have these other side jobs, and
Yeah.
even those jobs are, very limited right now, with restaurants being closed and just all, everybody being unemployed. So it's a really, really scary time for us,
It is.
but so I'm really happy that Tyler Perry has, taken all the right sort of steps and moves, and that those actors are going to have a chance to get back to work. And they're actually working as we speak, correct?
Yes, absolutely. Yes.
Wow.
We are filming right now. Yes, we're filming right now.
So
Yeah.
listen, how has that impacted, obviously you said now they're, not casting as many people because they're trying to keep, as a limited amount of people on set, and, sort of not having all that contact.
Yeah.
But how does that look in terms of the writing and the writers? That's got to be so challenging.
It was funny. I was actually on a different call today with a different production, not affiliated with TPS. And I was asking about certain scenes, and she's like, we're in the process of rewriting it because we don't, we can't have a large red carpet scene anymore. We can't have a large church scene with lots of extras. So there's some things that they're in the process of restructuring and rewriting to kind of fit the guidelines of, there's not a lot of people. So I think that for us, like when it comes to casting, I think our biggest thing, so of course we're not doing any in-person auditions. So everything has been self-taped. So if you're an actor that was already in the groove of self-tape, then great. If you're not, then I'm sure it was definitely some adjusting to getting used to doing 100% self-tapes. So everything is self-tape. And then, you know, like I said, the amount of cast that we usually have has decreased versus what we usually would have experienced on the duration of a show. So not a lot of one-liners. Most of the roles that we were looking for were more substantial because, you know, we just had to get the actors where it was like, okay, if this character is really, really, really instrumental to the direction of the story, then of course we need it. But some of those smaller roles, you know, those smaller co-star roles, we didn't have as many of them as we usually have. So those were the biggest adjustments for us, you know, that, and then having, you know, to be a part of orchestrating testing and things like that. Like those are probably the biggest adjustments that we had to make as a casting department.
Right now. And so, Raven, do you see, so as a casting director, do you go to your go-tos at a time like this?
You know, I can't say we go to our go-tos. There were a couple I was like a little nervous. I was like, I haven't cast this person before, and you know,
right.
You work really fast.
And listen,
you
it's
know.
totally understandable that you would. It's just an honest question, no judgment.
Yeah, and
it's business, so I get it.
The reality is, it's like, you know, I never want to recast somebody, but in this instance, I literally can't. You know, we can't.
Right.
The actor that we have is the actor that we have to use,
whether you love them or not.
Exactly.
Right.
So I feel like I was much more strict. Usually, so like maybe I'll send like my top like 8 to 10 choices to producers when we're out looking for a role. I feel like I probably sent maybe a little bit fewer because I really wanted to get actors that I felt were really going to be comfortable with the pace and the demands in which we film. So I feel like I was a little more strict in terms of what I was looking for, because I had to make sure that I got somebody that was going to be able to already handle our pace, in addition to everything that, you know, went on with the guidelines for COVID.
Yeah, that's real talk. So tell me tell me about your pace, so that somebody who doesn't know what that is could be sort of, you know, ahead of it and dropped into it. So tell me about that pace.
You know, as from a casting director standpoint, most projects, if you're filming a 1-hour drama, they're going to take about 7 to 8 days to film. If you're doing a 30-minute show, it's going to probably take at least 5 days to film. And so, it's, you know, it's because usually people don't really film as many pages a day. Specifically with Tyler Perry Studios, and Mr. Perry's talked about this many times about we film really fast. So the reason why our process was able to work is because we film the way that we do. So, you know, we can do a 20 episode season and film the whole thing within 2 weeks. Which that would have taken, So, you know, like in Hollywood, that would have taken 9 to 10 months. Right. And we're able to do it within 2 weeks. But that also means that we're filming probably on average about 100 pages a day, which is about a movie a day. Right. So the truth is that from an actor's standpoint, you have to be on it. You have to be over prepared. This is like, we don't really have time for you to be timid, for you to be unsure. You have to do as much work as you can. The good thing is that a lot of our cast do a lot of rehearsal on their own before they even ever step foot on the premises. And we open that up to our guest cast actors as well. But you really have to over prepare for our sets. Because they can be a little intimidating if you're an actor that's used to, you know, having multiple takes and table reads and things like that. And, you know, you come in and it's like, okay, get in the costume, boom, 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 action, you know?
That's
so
good to know. And that's something
yeah.
that actors that are dropped in and listening to this can be working on during this time.
Yes, absolutely.
Right? That's a big tip, Raven. That's a big tip. You know, to say, look, you've got to work. That's something that I know just because I've done a lot of television, and I've done a lot of television with you know, the Dick Wolves, and you know, and so you know, when you come on those sets, that it's television is happening very, very quickly like that, and so you have to learn to to get with it, and so I've had that experience, but it's something that I give to my actors all the time, because that could get you fired. That could to you know, not be ever brought in again. That you have to be able to be prepared and ready to sort of, you know, go with that. You know, go with that. And like you said, be over prepared. I love that.
Yeah, I try to give actors a little bit of a heads up, and I know that our producers do as well. But, you know, I always say, like, anticipate that you get one take, you know, anticipate that you're going to get one take, and it is your job to make that take the best that it could be. There's no time for like, well, nope, like anticipate that it's just going to be the one take. Now, if you get another one, great, you know, but you have to be prepared. You have to be mentally prepared for that. You have to be ready for it, you know. I think a part of that process is like, if you do have the opportunity to discuss with actors, like, what's the pace of it going to be? You know, if he stops you in the middle of a scene, it doesn't mean that you stop performing. You know, it still means you can take the note but still be in character. So there's a whole lot of things that that are involved in really being prepared. And I get, sets are intimidating. Anybody's set can be intimidating. You know, because we spend all this time setting up the scene, and then it's like, okay, now's your turn. And you have to be on it, you know, but the more you practice that, the better that you'll get at it, for sure.
Absolutely. I agree. I mean, there are things that you can do. You know, one, you should be in class. You have to stay ready so you don't have to get ready. And one of the things I love to do with my actors is making sure that I'm always working on the pace. So if their pace is a medium pace, then I'm going to push them past their comfortable pace. Right. So I'm always saying, okay, we're going to take it up 10 notches. Right. To get them out of that rhythm, which I call getting stuck in a rhythm. Right. If they're too slow, then I'm speeding them up. If they're too fast, then I'm slowing them down.
Absolutely.
But you have to be able to adjust and go.
I always say, like, pay attention to the, you know, to the genre. Like, if you've ever auditioned for anything at TPS, you can kind of get a sense of what our rhythm is.
Absolutely.
You know, Scandal scripts, like the actual scripts were like 75 to 80 pages because the dialogue was so fast. So if you're auditioning for Scandal, like, you know, if you're going to have those theatrical pregnant,
you already know,
you are not going to book, you know.
Absolutely. So that's part of your homework as the actor.
Yep, absolutely.
Absolutely. So good. That's good stuff, Raven. I have a question. So do you see actors from other markets such as Chicago getting more opportunities in Atlanta?
I do. I do. So I feel like, to be honest, like pre-COVID, I feel like we were really expanding in terms of like where we had actors coming from. Like, we had actors that we hired was from Colorado and from like Missouri, and we had Chicago. Like, you know, we were kind of expanding our territory a little bit.
I think you were too. I agree.
You know, and I was trying to be very intentional about that. So yes, we do. I will honestly say that COVID has put a lot of thought into where you are. Because there's a lot, you know, if we want you to quarantine, like, then it's like, well, how are we going to travel from Chicago to Atlanta, whether it be, you know, if you fly. There's been a whole lot of conversation about how an actor's location is going to influence and affect them working with us. So yes, we are still auditioning actors, even though they may not be directly in Atlanta. I will say, for me personally, is honestly, if you're not in Atlanta, I'm really considering for the larger roles, especially. And what I mean by that is, it's like, I really want to make it worth the production's time and your time to bring you in. So
that's a good thing.
And it is.
Yeah, that's a great thing.
Yeah, it just means that, like, if it's for a larger role, I'm definitely more open to bringing someone in for a larger role who's maybe not in Atlanta. For smaller roles, I try to stick to basically our Southeast market. But for larger roles, I'm really active about seeing people in other markets, for sure.
That's great. No, that's a great thing. That's a great thing. What's really quickly, what's unique about Atlanta, the Atlanta market? Can you speak
There's
on?
so much.
You said so much?
Yeah, there is so much. Yes.
Right.
I love Atlanta. I've been in Atlanta for 13 years now.
Where are you from originally?
I'm originally from New Jersey. So I'm originally from New Jersey, that whole Northeast,
Right.
But I think the thing that's unique about Atlanta is that Atlanta's still trying to figure out what it is. I think in terms of the entertainment industry, it's such, like, someone said to me, they're like, Atlanta's in like puberty, like it doesn't really know like where it fits, and it's just trying to figure itself out. I'm like, it's kind of true.
Yeah.
But I think that opens up so many opportunities and lanes, that there's so much structure, and this is how we've always done it in other cities, where Atlanta is really like, you can just kind of come and make your own path. I will say that when it comes to actors, I don't think that you have as many opportunities to audition as you do in other cities. And that may have changed by now. Like, that maybe be completely different. And so some actors may be like, oh no, I'm auditioning more in Atlanta than I was in LA. But I feel like you're still progressively working on the opportunities to audition. I feel like you are more likely, though, to be considered for bigger projects as well. Like, I feel like I see a lot more local actors that are really being seen, auditioned, considered, and hired for these larger projects that are in the city. I think it's a great place. Like I've always said, like, if you have to crawl before you can walk, Atlanta's a great place to crawl. It's a great place to figure it out. It's a great place to get your credits. It's a great place to get your SAG, to get approved for SAG, if that's what you want to do.
That's great.
It's a great place to like find an agent. It's a great place to build your tribe. So I think Atlanta is like, if you really have to get your foundation, Atlanta is a brilliant place, I think, for an actor to get their foundation. Awesome. And then you either choose to stay in Atlanta or go elsewhere. But I do think that Atlanta does offer you a lot of really unique opportunities, for sure.
That's so awesome, sweetheart. I'm sure that's encouraging to, someone listening. It is for me, that's for sure. Okay, so I want to ask you, we have to ask you the question of, what is it like working with Tyler Perry? We must know firsthand.
I've been there for a long time now. I started when I was right out of college. So literally 2 weeks after I graduated from college, I started working at Tyler Perry Studios.
Wow. You started off as a casting director?
I started off as an intern. Okay. And because I was like a producer's intern, I was in the office, and then I ended up being a producer's assistant and casting assistant, and then casting.
Gotcha.
It's remarkable. I will say that it's amazing to be in a space that, one, because I've been there for so long, I've seen grow. Like, I remember when we used to have we were in this tiny little office, and the casting office was literally like a cubicle and a countertop. That was casting. I remember that. And to see that it's expanded so much to what it is, it's just incredible to be a part of that journey. It's incredible to see, like, it's like manifested faith that you work in. You know, it's like you drive in and there's this big, beautiful, you know, lit signs, and there's, you know, tons
Wow.
of sound stages, and
That must be
you know,
magical,
it
Whitney.
is.
It's
And
gotta be magical.
that's why I say, like, people always ask, I'm like, it really is utterly remarkable to see that it's possible if you want to be an actor or a writer, whatever it is. Like, it's like, this is possible, and I work in the evidence of it. And my goal is, like, I want to learn everything that I can. You know, like, I know that I'm there for a reason, and I want to take in as much as I can, you know, with wherever I stay or wherever I go. I want to make sure that I learn as much as I can while I'm
Yeah, it's kind of it's kind of like you can't help but learn. It's like
there.
you
Yeah,
just can't help when you're surrounded by all that greatness. I mean, what
yeah,
he has accomplished is inspiring.
yeah.
It's so inspiring. So what was he like when he first started? Did he have this big vision? Did he know that this is what he was going to create? And
Right. I came in, so I feel like I kind of came in the middle. So when I came in, they were just getting into television. So they hadn't done, they had only done films. They hadn't done television. And um I think that there was a vision that he saw, you know. I think that, and I think that that vision continued to manifest and to grow into what it is now. I think it had to, you know. I think that,
oh, absolutely. Yeah, you don't just arrive here.
oh gosh, no. You know, and I think, like, even just in terms of work ethic, like, I
Yeah.
I don't know, you know, I think that when you've reached the success that he has, like, to be able to continue to work, you know, as if it was still day one is remarkable.
Yeah.
So I think in terms of work ethic, I think in terms of vision, you know, it's amazing to build something that, like, you haven't seen. I've never seen a Black man on the studio. You know, there's never been this large of a studio in the Southeast, you know. So
Right.
think that um I think to operate in that faith and vision is just incredible. Incredible.
Yeah. You know, okay, so now I'm having like a girlfriend moment with you. Okay. So I definitely want to see you, you know, go off and absolutely go for yours, produce. I mean, I just feel like absolutely, you know, you've had such a great run and
Yeah.
career. And I feel that, you know, we, especially as African American women, we need to keep pushing. We need to keep and even African American men, though, that, you know, we should not get comfortable, that we should
Yeah.
continue to use all the experience that we've had in the business to create another lane and to create more voices. We need more voices, you know, out
Absolutely.
there. And you have learned a lot, and you have a lot to share, and you
Yeah.
have a lot to say.
Absolutely.
And
Thank
so
you for that.
I definitely
Oh,
want to see you producing more and
yeah.
direct. Like my girl Leah Daniels, she was, you know, somebody else that was part of the series.
Yeah.
And my sister Twinkie, who's going off and directing and doing her thing.
No.
You know, Robbie, who's gone off to be a big executive over at
Yeah.
BET. Like, you know, I really, I love all of you, and I really want to see, because I'm looking at you, I'm being inspired by you too, you know. And when we do that, we really are inspiring the next person to go for it, and that it can be done, and that they can do it too, you know.
Absolutely.
And it makes it possible for somebody like me. I look at my hi Makia, how are you? Makia's joining us now. Thank you for your patience, Makia.
Oh, sure. Sorry to even interrupt. I was
No, not at
Oh my
all.
God.
You're not interrupting at all, Queen. We're all here to gather and talk and be a blessing to one another and to learn from each other. So I thought it was really important. You know, I think I'm not a good host or a moderator. And when she first told me, I was like, absolutely not.
You did a great job. Are you kidding me?
No. And I was like, and she was like, well, do you want me to bring another actor? Absolutely, bring another actor. But I did think that it's important I wanted to bring another actor on because I think it's important that we like really find the balance. I feel like I'm coming on more so as a producer and an acting coach. I kind of wanted to be, I didn't want to speak as an actor, even though I'm an actor too, and I love being an actor, but I really wanted somebody to come on that, not that you're not a producer, director either, Malkia, because I think we all are. I think
Yes.
we all are those things. We should be, because as I was just telling Raven, Malkia, that we have to keep pushing forward. My company is Be Fly Create. We have to continue to be fly and create our own destiny, our own narrative, our own voices. And the more that we can see people like Raven and Robbie Reed and Twinkie and Leah, well, the more we can see ourselves doing it, the more empowered, the more confident we're going to be about pushing our stories out there to our individual stories. And so your voice is so important, Malkia, right now. And so welcome and thank you for joining us, sweetheart. So let me segue into you and let me give you your props and tell the audience a little bit of all that you've accomplished. So Malkia Stampley Johnson joins us. She's a TV, film, and stage actor, voiceover artist, and stage director from Milwaukee, Wisconsin. She comes from a large musical family and the daughter of a pastor and educator. She's a what do you call it? A CK, right? Exactly. She is a founding ensemble member of Milwaukee's Bronzeville Arts Ensemble and artistic associate with Chicago's Congo Square Theater. I know some of the folks out there and I really, really love them. She's booked roles on Empire, Chicago PD, Shameless, and recurring role on Showtime's The Chi, which we love. Shout out to Lena Horne and to my Ahmad Ferguson, who's playing Bakari on it. Everybody's loving and hating him right now. She's gone on to do a lot of things. She's received the Woody King Jr. Award for Best Supporting Actress for her portrayal of Laurel in Dreamgirls in St. Louis and has been nominated for Black Theater Alliance and Black Excellence Awards. She has toured Japan and Taiwan twice, performing music from The Lion King and other Disney classics with other American singers. So you sing?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you want to sing a little something for us? You've got Raven right here. So
I need to warm up first. Yeah.
you don't have to, Malkia. You don't have to. But I wanted to, now that you're on, Malkia, did you want to sort of add to, did anything strike you that you wanted to add to that we spoke of? Otherwise I can continue on, but I wondered if there was anything that you wanted to sort of add on.
Sure. Well, I certainly can speak to just the adapting to this new normal and knowing as a freelance artist, as an actor and director, that things are scaled down, production costs are low, and production needs then are limited. With that, as an artist, you have to be creative. And instead of sitting and waiting and hoping that you get that email or that text or call from Gray, you get creative. And I find that when you're creative, then you're manifesting things to you. I've directed a music video, once before a year ago. And then a friend of mine who happens to be in Atlanta was like, I have this idea. Let's make a film. And I'm like, what? I'm in Milwaukee and she's in Atlanta. The sound designer is in Chicago. But we took that opportunity because we had time and we were restless. And when you consider all that was going on with George Floyd, then unfortunately what recently has happened in Kenosha, just 40 miles from where I am, it just helps. It's that outlet that I needed. And And I found that I was then more creative, and I brought so much more to the few auditions that did come through. And at the same time, I'm developing another skill, another asset that I can carry on throughout my journey. And it's always that silver lining that you have to look for. In all of these valleys, and there've been some peaks, even in the midst of this pandemic. There've been some peaks for me, career-wise, the different roles I've now had, and the different ways I've pushed myself, or just learning how to be still too, and be confident that just because I don't have something today, and maybe not even tomorrow, it doesn't take away from my value or my worth as an artist. I'm still one, and having the faith that things will open up again, and they are, as we're seeing them. And it's inspiring to me to see that Tyler Perry Studios, is open and thriving still, because it will trickle down, and it's wonderful. So I'm very, very hopeful.
I think that's so important, don't you think, Raven, that frame of mind, that, you really have to, keep yourself positive. You have to stay hopeful.
Yeah.
That is that sort of self-care that has to happen, where you just, really stay above it all. And I always tell all my actors, and this is a way of life, like, if you keep yourself busy enough, you won't notice the things that bring you that anxiety and fear. That means you're not busy enough. That means you're not being creative enough. That means you're not taking advantage of this opportunity. It's all in the way that you look at it. I see it, like, wow, I've got all this time. Great. I can finish that book I've been wanting to. I can, for the first time, if I had never shot anything, I would be thinking, that's just me. I'd be thinking, oh my God, well, maybe I can try to produce my first, film. Anything can be done, on a phone. I think it's so, the mindset, because it's, while I understand this is a really scary time, and I've lost, and I've had people who have lost in this COVID season, I also feel like it's such a beautiful time. It's such a beautiful time. It's such a sacred time. I feel it's a total spiritual movement. I feel like the door is wide open, and, and you're not going to have an excuse to, when it closes, you're not going to have an excuse. So then what? Why sit around? This is the time for us as artists to create. I'm like a mad woman. I was already a mad woman. Once I came into myself and discovered, like, nobody's holding me back. Like, I can really create on my own. And, I'm my mind is always creating, always going. And I'm always trying to take the opportunity to say, no, this is the time. This is the time for you to, be freed up and not have any pressure of an audition. How about that?
Yeah.
How about not having the pressure of it, so that you can, when are we ever, even for you, Raven, even for you, Malkia, because I know that you're a working actress and you're always going. When would we have ever had the opportunity to just sort of sit back and sort of just think about it, just reflect, just, get out of the, that sort of cycle of always doing everything? When would we have ever had that time?
Yeah.
To look back and get off that sort of wheel, of just repeating and doing the same things. We're all having a chance to sit back and look at what's important and sort of rethinking it all. And I think that you are beautiful and have a great attitude, Malkia, in what you just shared. You should be out there. That's why I'm even encouraging Raven. Like, you too, Mama.
Yes.
Go out there, produce your films.
That's real. Yeah. We had an actress. So, like, we've talked about quarantine, and we had an actress in quarantine at TPS who, you can't leave your space until you get your test results back. So you can, that's when you can use the space. My apologies, guys. Got a phone call. And the craziest thing is that she actually made a short film by herself. And like, it was like a little short, like horror film. Like it was probably about like 5 to 7 minutes. That was actually really good. Like there were elements of it. It had camera angles and everything. It's like, if she can make a short film in quarantine, not able to leave the house on her phone, then I'm like, you can produce, you can create, you can do whatever you need to do.
Absolutely.
So, yeah.
Absolutely. That's and that's, that's why I find myself constantly like putting that out there, because in a minute I feel like that door is going to close, and I that's just going to be a sad time that I feel people are going to find themselves in. But you had all that time though.
Yeah. Yeah.
You had all that time to create and and think it through and just be, out there trying it. I mean, what's the worst that could happen?
Yeah.
Right. But in saying that, Raven, do you think that people like Tyler Perry are like watching and being open to like, these new projects and creative things that artists are doing nowadays, like Makia?
I think this is the best time to be a content creator, honestly. I think it's the best time because people have the time. They have the time to listen to your pitch. They have the time to read your script. They have the time to have a Zoom call with you. That's right. So I think that this is actually the best time to be a content creator. I think even being a content creator of color, I think that what's birthed in all of this is understanding that, yes, we need more representation, we need more Tyler Perrys, we need more writers and directors and executives. And I think that this is the time to step into that. So I do think that if you're going to do it now. I do think that as much as this is a really hard, weird, difficult time, I think that with the right mindset, you can produce and birth something really, really special during this time as well.
I agree. Raven, I'm not going to keep you much longer because we're actually on the hour right now. I wanted to just ask you, and no pressure, because you've already given so much. You really have. You've dropped a whole bunch of gems. How can you support Black actors right now? How are you supporting Black actors? How can you support Black actors? Also, I didn't want to get off the phone, off the Zoom, off of Zoom without really talking about. So let's just sort of put that question to the side just for 1 minute.
Yeah.
Because I did, because we all know that, and we're all getting the word that Atlanta and Tyler Perry is opening up his studio, and Atlanta is one of the first cities to, really start looking and auditioning. And we know that self-tapes are the only way right now. Are there any tips that you can give actors in terms of self-taping so that they can know what you're looking for, just to not waste your time, to give, sort of the best self-tape presentation possible?
Yes, I think when it comes to self-tape, get your self-tape action plan ready to go. Okay. And what I mean by that is, in Atlanta, there's a lot of self-tape services. So there are a lot of people who will put you on tape, but maybe you're an actor that doesn't feel comfortable, being in close places with people, COVID, or maybe you just don't want to spend the $20 or however much it costs to do it. So you really do need to have a go-to plan. And what I mean by that is wherever you live in your home, you have to have like your self-tape area already set up. So all you have to do is you do your own preparation, you find your good reader or whatnot, and you're ready to go. So what does that look like? It can be your bedroom, your living room. I just don't make it like a messy bathroom or like kitchen. Like I don't want to see dishes. I don't want to see any toiletries. I don't want to see any of that. Right. But I think at the very simplest, if you get a sheet, gray or blue, preferably, you iron it really good, tack it up on your wall. If you can afford a backdrop, great. There's some great pop-up backdrops that you can get from Amazon. If you don't have a camera, and I mean, most of us have some sort of smart device, an iPad, phone, something, get a tripod, or, the ring lights are really popular now. So invest in those things. Like these are tax write-off, guys. This is a tax write-off for you as an actor.
Again.
Yes.
Yes.
Invest in it. I'm a big fan of like building your tribe. So of artists, you should have at least 2 to 3 people that you guys know, like, you're my reader if I need it, and I'll be yours. And what I mean by that is, like, I've gotten so many auditions where it's like, people's young children are reading, or like they don't have any reader at all, like it's just like blank space. I'm like, or like you're recording your voice, and I'm like, it's just hard to act to your own recorded voice. It's like there's so many things that like make auditioning so difficult. Like, let's not add another one in there with having to react to.
So you do not, am I hearing you right when I hear you say, do not have your son or daughter read for you. Do not record your own voice, and
unless they're like a teenager that can maybe sound like an adult, I would stay away from having your kids be Or unless the role is a kid, then like don't have your kids be your reader. It's always, I always say you don't want the reader to upstage you, and there have been many times where I have been watching auditions. I'm like, who is that? Like, who is that reading? And here I'm not paying attention to your audition anymore.
Absolutely.
So, I mean, in a
or have pictures of lions behind you, like right now, right?
Exactly. I have so many, and exactly, like, this is a distraction. Don't do this, Like,
do not take behind.
I'm like, Malkia's background is perfect. That's what, like, we want the focus to be on you.
I was just gonna say that. I was like, camera ready.
Camera ready. Like, we want the focus to be on you and
let's go, Malkia.
But I think that when it comes to self-tapes, another thing is timing is very important. I am someone that I will watch the auditions as they come in. So I don't want you to rush, and I don't want you to neglect the preparation that you need. But I do want you to be aware of timing. So if you've gotten your audition in like right before the deadline, then that probably means that I've seen 20 auditions or so before yours. And that's nothing wrong with that. It just means that I have 20 performances that I'm now judging against yours versus you being maybe one of the top 5 to 8 that I've seen. So
that's great.
I think that timing is important when it comes to auditions. And there have been times where the deadline has been 12 p.m. and by 3 or 4 p.m. I'm sending my audition straight to the producers.
That's a great note, Raven.
So
actors need to hear that.
Yes. And I think now more than anything, just having that, whatever that plan, have it in place. Like, you can leave it up if it's your closet or whatnot, like, you can leave it up. That way, all you have to focus on is preparing for the role and setting up a time for the reader to go ahead and put you on tape. Like that, like try to streamline it so you don't have to think of the process and the compressing and all that stuff that goes along with it. So.
Right. And let me ask you a question. Has there ever been a chance or a time when somebody delivered at the last minute and they were cast?
There has. It's, I won't say it's rare. It's just you really do have to be like phenomenal if you're like the last person to submit. It's just like you really have to kind of blow it out the water. And if that's the case, then great.
And why is that? And is that because at this point you've seen so many people, right? Yeah. that you've liked, that you can't help but at a certain point sort of have be in your feelings about that this is the person,
right? And to be honest,
for the role.
I want to bring new energy into everybody that I watch, but the truth is that when I get to like number 30 that I just of the same scene, I'm probably thinking, okay, they were good, but I thought so and so was better, And so then what happens is maybe I send you to my producers, but maybe like you may have been just edged out by somebody else, who may have gotten theirs in quicker. So it's not like right. It's not like your chances are gone. You're like, your chances are not gone. Like if you've made the deadline, you have a chance.
Exactly.
It's just that if someone's watching the auditions the way that I watch them and I grade them, so we use a service called Breakdown Services or Actors Access. It's basically the same thing. Mm-hmm. And it allows us to give everybody an A, B, or C grade, and then to put some notes on there too. So, if I'm grading you and I'm seeing my level A's, and I'm seeing the standard that other actors have done, when I get to your audition, I am looking at your choices that you've made, but in relation to some of the other auditions that I've seen.
Of course. Your job is to present the best ones to your producer.
Yeah.
So it's your job. That's so good. That's so good. All right. So to the last question, so I don't keep you much longer. Just in terms of, anything that you'd want to add or say in terms of supporting Black actors.
Yes. I mean, for me, especially since I work at a Black-owned studio, and we produce very African-American, Black-focused work
we love you.
At Black Entertainment Television. So I think that I'm definitely an advocate for Black actors. I am very aware that I love my job, and I'm very aware, and I take it seriously, and I'm very aware that I may be opening the door, cracking open a window for someone to really take off in their career. So I think that, we get a lot of questions like, how do I audition for you? How do I get in? And I think that I love what I'm seeing, and I want to continue to see like wonderful, beautiful, amazing performances. But I also want to see actors really, really, really invest in their own preparation and their own training and their own, like in your own doing the work. And what I mean by that is, I mentioned this on one of my Actor Minute Mondays, and especially because of what I do, I get a lot of new actors. Like I get a lot of people who are like, I want to be on TV, And I love that. But I think that, and that's a great goal to have, but I think that you have to be so diligent about putting in the work to get there. And I would never throw you into the Super Bowl unprepared, and that's how I feel about some of the roles that we're casting. Like you may want it as much as you may really want it really, really bad, but if you're not prepared for that Super Bowl ready role, I cannot open that particular door up for you right now.
Yeah.
So I guess for me, I want to continue to find, I'm always looking for new talent. I work at a place where the producers have encouraged me to find like new people, like people without names and clout and things like that.
That's great.
And so I feel like I've been challenged to really find new faces, but I also want you to be so ready, so ready. So when we get that amazing performance, I can just be like, you know what, you guys would be crazy not to cast this person.
Absolutely.
Just definitely, the opportunity will present itself. I have no doubt. There are so many people looking for great actors right now. The opportunity will produce itself. We're just waiting for actors that are ready.
Yeah, amen. Actors, you hear that? I'm constantly on my actors. Like you have to study. And here's another thing. It's all part of the journey, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like it shouldn't be like, oh, I want to get this job and I have to work with Tyler Perry. Like,
yeah,
you're already coming from a wrong place, right?
Yes.
Because a true artist, it's all about the journey, really.
Yes.
And you're understanding that one audition is really an opportunity to get better for your next audition and your next audition. And because it's all about,
yeah.
it's about the journey. It's about,
be willing to play, like be willing to be wrong even. Like I am
oh my God, all day.
Yes, I'm a professor. I teach at Clark Atlanta University.
Yeah, that's right. I forgot to mention that. Yeah.
And it's amazing. And some of the, like, what I try to get to my students, like there's such intense pressure, like to be right. Like they're so afraid to like make a mistake that they're like they're not really enjoying the process, because it's like, I don't want to embarrass myself. I'm like, this is the time. Like, this is the time. I dare you to be wrong. I dare you to just take a risk and be wrong. I can work with you being wrong and us getting right, but are you trying
here's the thing, Raven and Malkia, it's one of the first things that I always tell my actors when they come to me is come with all of your imperfections. Yes, absolutely. Come to be imperfect, because that's what we are as human beings. Yes, absolutely. We're imperfect. So to come and already have the pressure to, present yourself in the most perfect light that you can is obvious. It's actually inside out for the artist. Yes. Right? Because every character that you'll play will be imperfect. Every single one. Yeah. Because we are imperfect as human beings. So that's one of the first things I do in stripping down my actors to come in, so that they can be freed up to discover and really, really be free. Right? Yes. Because the freeness is that imperfection and owning it. The freeness allows you to create. It allows you to use your imagination. Absolutely. It frees you up. Nuance. Yes, but if you're so like wound up, so like, I'm afraid that I'm, and this is what I tell myself too. Like, I'm telling this to myself when it comes to directing or producing, but just allowing myself the freedom of, finding it. Raven and Malkia, I call what I do the intersection between where acting and life coaching meet. And the reason why I call it that is because you have to bring yourself. Yes. You gotta, if you don't understand that acting is all about bringing yourself and your story to the table, then you're missing such a huge thing about this beautiful art form. Absolutely. And that is bringing, right, Malkia?
Yes, and I find that it's hard to maintain if you bring someone else, if you are trying to put on something else that you're not, and you book that role. I've been in that place. If you book that role, you then have to sustain something that you're not. So much
harder to do.
And it's a lot harder versus trying to find that authentic self. And authentic doesn't mean you're not trying or you're not activating, you're not engaged, or you're not bringing your tool set. It's not that, but it makes it a lot easier when you've just been, you are yourself. I find that I'm cast a lot more when I do that, when I can get out of the way of myself.
Yeah. Amen. Yeah. And how about this though? One of the biggest things that I say is that, one, we're all spiritually journeying artists. It's just, we're just all journeying together as artists. And I just feel like, for me, I always say it's such a slap in God's face when you are not bringing you to your characters, that you're saying that you have to act like someone else. It's a slap in God's face. You're saying that your journey, the ups and downs and all the beautiful and wonderful and ugly and negative things that are in you or that you've experienced are not legit, are not good enough. That's already starting in the negative. You have to know that your walk, your life, your history, your journey has prepared you for this very time right here. And that's what's going to separate you in the room. Yeah. Not trying to be perfect or be like someone else, but bringing your story to the table, So anyway, beautiful, beautiful, beautiful ladies. It's been such a pleasure. Malkia, thank you so much for hanging in there. And you're such a beautiful spirit. You have such a beautiful face. You're camera ready. So you're good. You don't have to buy a camera. No. You are set. You are ready to go with your self-tapes.
Yes.
Raven, thank you so much for your time. You have a big heart. It was really important for me to have you on. I was so excited when you said yes, because, you know, it really resonates how much you love actors. It
Yeah.
resonates every time. I really feel that, you know, I'm like, this is somebody who really cares. All the information that you provide is always so helpful, and we can see your heart. And I know that I'm speaking for, you know, the African American community right now. We love you. We're really thankful for you. Tell Tyler I really, really want to work with him one day soon. Okay.
Trust me. Like
Malkia
I actually,
Malkia
it's
too.
gonna happen. It's gonna happen. Trust me.
Okay.
Just wait for it. Be ready. I already know.
I stay ready. I stay ready. I stay
Yes,
ready.
we do.
I took notes.
Okay.
Oh, perfect. Yes.
You got all the notes, but honestly,
Yeah.
you know, really want to give you your flowers now.
Thank you.
I know how small the casting director community is, that there's
Mhm.
not a lot of us.
Yeah.
And I know a lot of you guys. And you know, we really, you know, it's really important for me to just thank you, you know, just thank you for being beautiful, for loving on us, loving us, giving each and every one of us a shot. You know, I haven't auditioned for you much, but I remember one time I did go, and I was not ready, by the way. um, but I just remember how awesome you were in the room, you know, and that meant so much to me, because we're not robots.
Yeah.
You know, we're human beings, you know, hustling, you know, doing our best. We know the environment. It's, you know, the first time where we're having real talk, you know, with what's going on in the world.
Yeah.
And people are really, you know, finally like having some real conversations. But you know, and all of our African American casting directors know the struggles. And so it's very important when you're, oh, look, Malkia froze on us.
I know.
Look at her face. She's so beautiful, it wouldn't matter. But it's really, for me, it goes a long way to walk into a room where you're really loved on.
Mm.
You
Aw,
know, you're really loved on, that you're really respected, that you know, that you're seen,
yeah.
you know. And I really felt that when I met you. I just was like, oh my God, thank you, Jesus. You know, like, you know, you never know what you're going to get in the room, and that's not always the vibe in casting.
Yeah.
Personally. um I have a really funny story. I'll tell you really quick. There was a
Yeah.
casting agent that is Caucasian, and I had the pleasure in the character to call her a bitch as
Mhm.
as the role.
Okay.
And girl, it was one of those auditions where I was like, okay, this is a real life situation right here, okay? Because she was such a bitch. Okay. Uh, and it's just real talk. I'm always keeping it real.
Yes.
That, you know, you got to drop in and you got to use it. But
Yeah.
you know, honestly, back to you. I just, you know, you're just a beautiful person, a beautiful heart. Thank you so much for taking the time out. You dropped gems, and I know that anybody listening is going to be blessed by this time together. So thank you, Raven.
It was
Thank you
my
so much,
pleasure. Thank
beautiful.
you.
Thank you
Thank
so
you. You
much.
were a
Keep.
great host too. So thank you.
Oh,
I
thank you.
appreciate it. Yeah.
Again, just one last time, her charity of choice, please. Anything that you can give to this charity is great. They're doing really, really great things. It's called Young Generation Movement. And if you missed it, they're really into helping vulnerable youth in an effort to prevent PSD, cognitive consequences, peer pressure, sense of inadequacy. Their vision is to increase graduation rates, decrease criminal activity and substance abuse, create employable and sustainable young adults, and provide a safe environment for their youth. I know I'm going to give because it's all about, you know, us taking care of each other. It starts there first. you know. So thank you, ladies. Malkia, you froze for a second, but girl, you was giving face. Okay. So thank you so much. I want to thank Dawn Gray and all of the wonderful agents, Kiki, Kieran, who am I forgetting? Alisa, thank you. This wouldn't happen if it wasn't you making it happen, you know, in the back office. Just everybody at Gray, Dawn, I love you so much. Continue to shine and do what's right in your heart to do, to take care of your African-American clients, your Latino clients. It means a lot to me. I know I can speak for all of us. It means a lot to all of us. All right, ladies. See ya.
Later.
Raven, I would love. It's just been something that has been happening. I would love for you, if you can, give me a few minutes on Instagram. Do you have a